Hi, this is Dr. John Schinnerer with Guide to Self and a brief presentation on how can I get rid of anxiety. So our world drives anxiety. Terrorism, viruses, war, traffic, health, job and financial concerns, and more. All of these issues can spark anxiety in anyone, but particularly in those of us who deal with anxiety, and that includes myself. While some degree of anxiety is normal and necessary, too much anxiety can be crippling and can adversely impact the quality of your life on many levels: relational, your physical health, even your job performance. Anxiety is simply intended to be a messenger. It tells you that something is off, something requires your attention. However, when anxiety gets dialed up too high, you can struggle with relationships, you can stay in the house, you can struggle at work and at school, and ultimately you may even isolate yourself. So if you're like most of us with anxiety, you probably spend some part of the day worrying about what might go wrong, complaining about what did go wrong, and beating yourself up for your mistakes. You see, evolution has hardwired us to pay more attention to potential threats and problems. And this focus on the negative kept us alive. It's called the negativity bias. And being aware of what might go wrong makes sense. It's kept us alive. It's just that we spend way too much of our time focusing on the negative. And our ancient emotional mind wants us to be constantly on the lookout for deadly threats, saber-toothed tigers or venomous snakes. The problem is that missed deadlines, traffic, and disagreements with spouses are not life or death situations. Yet the emotional mind wants to treat them as if they are. And this causes suffering. Most forms of anxiety are treatable, and relief is just around the corner. The goal is to reduce the intensity, frequency, and duration of your anxiety. This is critical, so let me repeat that. Your goal is to reduce the intensity, the frequency, and the duration of your anxiety. There's a catch, however. This works only if you repeatedly practice effective, scientifically proven tools, and if you believe that anxiety can be reduced through repeated effort and perseverance. This is known as a growth mindset, which I discuss on my presentation, The Power of Mindset, and you can track that down on my website, guidetoself.com. Your goal is to train your emotional mind, and the best way to do this is through repetition. You want to repeat the information over and over. On an evolutionary scale, you're training one of the oldest parts of the brain, the limbic system. This takes practice and repetition. And with practice, you will achieve your goal of a fuller, happier, and calmer life. So let me go over some of the statistics around anxiety because they're kind of mind-boggling. So realize that you are not alone in your struggle with anxiety. It's far more common than you likely realize. So here's some of the stats. Anxiety disorders are now the most common type of mental health condition in the United States. Anxiety affects over 40 million adults every year. This is nearly twice as much as the approximately 20 million people who deal with mood disorders, such as depression and bipolar disorder. And 2/3 of those with anxiety also suffer from depression at some point in their lives. This is a really common combination and has recently been labeled MADD, or mixed anxiety depression disorder. So the two, anxiety and depression, often exist together. So realize that if any of this applies to you, the first step is to meet with your doctor and come up with a treatment plan. I also want you to realize that anxiety is not one single disorder. There's a spectrum of related conditions, and it's believed that they all have similar biological underpinnings, which explains why roughly half of those with one anxiety disorder also have a second type of anxiety. Each type of anxiety is a little bit different. However, all anxiety disorders share some common symptoms. First, there are irrational feelings of fear, danger, or dread, which is anticipatory fear. Second, there's tension, muscle tension, internal tension. Third, there's worry, You worry about things that may happen in the future. And fourth, there are physical symptoms, such as nausea, hot or cold flashes, dizziness, agitation, trembling, shortness of breath, and the need to urinate frequently. In my next video, I will go over the different types of anxiety so that you're familiar with each one of them, ultimately building towards what you can do to combat anxiety. This is Dr. John Schinnerer, signing off.